name is Stephanie Lachey. Today we'll be talking to Rima Manry, the assistant editor of DePaul's comedic magazine Detour. Detour is a DePaul student-run publication which features skits, drawings, and narratives from DePaul students. The staff use entries submitted and create a monthly publication that makes fun of controversial issues mixed with some lighthearted humor. Manry serves as the assistant editor and deals with the funding from OrgSync along with submissions. Manry has dealt with problems from the school treatment of Detour and the school's overall issues such as sex and contraceptives.
Hi Rima, my name is Hannah Barth. I'll be the one interviewing you today. Welcome to Communication News. To start off, how long have you been part of Detour and what are some of your roles as the assistant editor?
I started in Detour this year, so I'll be coming up on the end of my first year. Some of my roles are basically just as an assistant to our main editor, our editor-in-chief. I do a lot of mostly organizational. I'm actually the editorial coordinator, so I coordinate the schedule for when the publication will be released, when we're going to have pitch meetings. I send out the mass emails to all of our writers. When we have our pitch meetings, we discuss what articles we actually want to put in the edition. People typically pitch about 100 to 150 ideas, and we only take about 20 of them. So once the editor and I kind of narrow down the ones that we want to use, I send out the email to each writer that says, here's your assignment, this is when it's due. I'm kind of like their personal little annoying reminder as I constantly send them emails and just do a lot of organizational.
That's great. Now, about DePaul and Detour, can you tell us a specific instance where DePaul has shown that it doesn't really appreciate Detour?
Yeah, we've definitely had a few instances with DePaul not exactly being supportive. There was one case where I had been distributing some of the magazines, and we put them on a stand, and I went through the library, and as I was walking back through the library, the magazines had been thrown away, and it had been not even 5 minutes since I placed them there. We also have a lot of issues with funding. Just sometimes DePaul is reluctant to give it to us. We still always end up getting the funding, but sometimes it's just a process to go through it. And there have also just been times where they've, tried to tell us we need to put a disclaimer that DePaul is not associated with the magazine. We have difficulty getting support from a specific program in the school. We're currently talking to the CDM school to see if we can get support from that specific program, but it's been a struggle.
Okay, that's great. And there was also an issue about the contraceptive cutout that was in one of your issues that the school really had a problem with.
Yeah, the school definitely threw a little bit of a fit. It was a back cover page of a cutout contraceptive. Obviously it was a joke and most people thought it was funny, but the school was angry about it and threatened to shut us down and said that that's not something that DePaul supports. It's a Catholic institution. And so we had, from that point on, we now have a disclaimer in every edition that says that DePaul University is not associated with any of the ideas published in Detour.
Okay, that makes sense. So speaking of OrgSync and funding, which you mentioned earlier, how has not being able to get a lot of funding been an issue for the Detour staff?
It's just been an issue because we have to be really, really frugal as far as how many editions we can print. It's a lot more difficult for us to market Detour. A lot of students have to know about Detour just because it's so difficult for us to get advertising in. It's difficult for us to get stands to place Detour on because the DePaul doesn't really like us getting in other space. And so it just makes it difficult for Detour to spread and grow at DePaul without the support of the school and funding necessary for that.
Right. So then what are some ways that Detour is trying to expand with the funding that they currently have?
Well, we don't really have much. The funding that we do have is mostly just spent, we try to get more issues printed so that we can distribute them further on campus. The funding that we do have, we like putting on stand-up shows every so often in Brownstones, which requires, getting food to draw in an audience, getting the equipment, microphones, and guest speakers from Chicago to help out. And so that kind of funding is beneficial, but we don't really have any of it. So it's kind of difficult to put on those kind of programs.
Right, understandable. Now you said in a recent interview that you find it hard to believe that DePaul so strongly supports the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, queer, and ally group, and yet has a problem with your contraceptive cutout. Can you further your thoughts on that issue?
Yeah, I think it's really great that DePaul supports LGBTQTA groups. I think it's really, really great, and it's a really big population at DePaul, but I almost feel that DePaul only supports it because there's such a large population, which I'm really thankful for, but simultaneously, DePaul should also support something like Detour because it's so beneficial for the school. I mean, we're a school like right in the heart of Chicago. The Onion is located here, and there have been people who have worked on Detour who have gone on to work for the Onion. There are people who have gone on to work for Conan, especially with such a great CDM school with film students and screenwriting students. You would think that DePaul would want to support something like Detour because it gives so many opportunities for students who want to go into this kind of industry. Yet DePaul is really reluctant to support it because of its Catholic beliefs, and it's contradicting to the fact that they full-fledged support LGBTQTA, which is great. But I just wish that they would kind of spread that open-minded attitude towards Detour as well, because it could benefit them as well as their students.
Right, great. Well, thank you so much, Rima. It was a pleasure
Thank you.
meeting you. Thank you so much. And everyone, be sure to look out for the next issue of Detour, which is actually coming out, distributing tomorrow.
Yep, distributing tomorrow this week.
How exciting. Well, thank you so much. And here from Communication News, have a great night.